Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of Georgia State T-shirt cannons, musical festivals, and so much more with today's guest from Campari America, Mr. Mike Capoferri, a wonderful guy. He's healthy. He is a mentor to the industry, very down to earth, and had a great chat with him recently in town in Austin, Texas, with his T-shirt cannon. You know, you can use that thing for tacos. If you wrap a Campari bottle just well enough, you can shoot that thing as well at 300 PSI. This is an impressive feat upon this industry. And it's great to sit down and chat with Mike about life, music, industry, and so much more. So without further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this great chat with Mike Capoferri.
I feel too old for music festivals.
What?
I know.
How old are you now?
31.
Oh, well, okay, you are. Yeah, I think once you hit 30, standing up that all day sucks.
I used to go a lot when I was a kid. I mean, 2007, I went to like that was like the third Bonnaroo or something like that.
Yeah.
When it was still like a
Pure.
bunch of hippies, and I was into that type of thing back then. But
Did you ever catch Outkast and Big Boy in Atlanta?
I've seen Outkast live a few times.
Yeah.
My favorite hip hop group of all time, obviously. I mean, I'm a homer from Atlanta, but I love Outkast. I even love like the stuff Big Boy's still doing. But one of the most disappointing things I've ever seen was Outkast live.
No.
Yeah.
Why?
I mean, how much live hip hop have you seen?
I'm gonna be really honest, not a whole lot.
There's a certain type of hip hop that translates well to a live show.
Sure.
It's the more like underground stuff.
Yeah.
Most hip hop really is horrible live, and that breaks my heart because I'm a huge hip hop head. And I saw Outkast. The first time I saw Outkast was the most disappointing because it was Music Midtown in Atlanta, probably around like 2004.
That's a good time for it.
Yeah. But it's an outdoor concert, and like live hip hop's bad enough in a great venue, and it's really shitty outside at a music festival.
Just drowns out as the farther it gets out.
Just like cacophony.
Yeah.
Noise. Yeah, it was bad.
Man, what's too bad? Did you ever rectify or reconcile that terrible performance?
I lost no respect for Outkast because of that.
Good.
Because like, you know, I've seen a lot of like big name hip hop artists live, and it's all been pretty garbage. Honestly, like
at least it's consistent.
Like even like Wu-Tang kind of sucks live, and like Bone Thugs was awful live.
Well, they never were good on record.
That was way back in the day.
Yeah,
Bone Thugs, come on.
No, I mean, so they kind of can sing, but it's like if my cousin was singing because he just wanted to try to have a career for it. Those vocal melodies are pretty rough, man.
Yeah, you're right.
They're pretty flat. But I think that was the appeal. We go back and we sober up as we get older, and we're like, Bone Thugs was good.
I still like the fast rap, though. You know?
That's fair. That's totally fair.
Yeah.
Man, all right, so music is a good piece. We're going to have to talk more about that. See, I'm just trying to find these anchors.
I don't know. I never really considered myself like a big music person. I kind of grew up on like Southern hip hop and classic rock, I guess.
That's important, you know? Bob Seger? I saw some Bob Seger posts. Bob Seger's the patron saint of the South, right besides Skinner, I think.
Oh, no. Well, I mean, I wasn't a huge Bob Seger guy. I guess, I don't know. My family's from the Northeast, so it was like, I grew up like Springsteen and Billy Joel, I guess. But then like growing up in the South, I learned, Southern classic rock real early. And then
you said two of my favorite words. Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, yeah?
Yeah. Billy Joel is, all right, and people get mad because they'll say this is Dylan, but Billy Joel is the best American songwriter. I'm going to put that on the table.
That's a bold statement.
But tell me who's a better songwriter. Now, I'm not being contentious, I promise. But I just, like, who really could be better?
I mean,
as an American songwriter, not a lyricist necessarily. Right?
Well, it's got to be Bob Dylan, right?
No way. He can sing. He can write a melody to save his ass.
He's a terrible singer.
That's right.
Bob Dylan's got the worst voice ever.
Exactly.
But his songs were, I mean,
lyrically
iconic
poignant,
and legendary.
Right?
And
but how many can you...
So, like, every Bob Dylan song is better performed by someone else. But they've all been performed by so many people.
Yes, Hendrix. That's the most notable.
Yeah, I mean...
That's okay. That you just that answers it right there.
Guns N' Roses, knocking on heaven's
Well,
door, man.
if they went past 3 records, I would. Oh yeah, right, with the Dylan cover. I don't know, man. I still think Billy Joel's the best American songwriter.
I'm not hating on that. It's a point of contention. I think
I like it.
A lot of people would be more upset than I would be.
See, but this is good. This is what I'm trying to do. Be provocative.
Yeah,
right.
But I love Billy Joel too, so I'm not mad about that. I grew up on Billy Joel.
He is an unsung hero of the working class.
Yeah,
much like Springsteen.
He, blue collar guy. Allegedly, he sings about it a lot.
He really does. I think he's a little bit of a
messiah.
I don't think he likes women that much either. Going back to listen to some of those songs.
Yeah,
but that's an aside.
But for someone who doesn't like women, that guy has spent a lifetime out kicking his coverage. He's an ugly man. Has surrounded himself by some really beautiful wives and girlfriends.
He did pretty well.
Yeah,
he did pretty well. Tip my hat to Billy Joel right now. Finally get to do that. If I ever get to talk to Billy Joel, it'd be amazing. But so here, let's talk about this life on the road like a rock star. I think it's a great segue, actually. Billy Joel, rock star. Bob Dylan, rock star.
Never considered myself a rock star, but I'll take it.
It is very similar.
That's a first.
So I see you jet setting around the world. We talk about London. There's Atlanta, New York for Speed Rack. So many different things. Austin. This is your second trip to Austin within 2 months.
Second in 2 months, and I'll be back 4 more times before the end of the year.
It's an amazing place. Looking forward to having you again.
Awesome town.
This is the thing. And I have lots of great access to booze, even as we're demonstrating right now, sipping this mezcal. You're traveling a lot, but it also seems like you're pretty focused on your health. You're a runner, perhaps?
I do more cycling than running. Running's just easier to do on the road because I can't bring my bike with me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Do you feel it gets difficult as you get older to balance that healthy lifestyle and the social butterfly that you are lifestyle?
I think it's hard. It's probably getting harder, but it's becoming more of a focus. I think like as anyone kind of grows up, you have to, you start seeing the wrinkles form and seeing the pounds add on. So it's like,
why did I get out of breath walking up the stairs?
Yeah. So, I think the balance is harder, but focusing on it is easier now. It's like, now they've been traveling for a little bit, like your routine, I'm going to be in a city for this many days. Yeah. You can kind of book when you're going to exercise and like you can try to find a time to eat a healthy meal and you can, not finish all of your cocktails or order something lower alcohol. Like I'm blessed with a very low ABV portfolio. So, homies that are tequila ambassadors, I don't know how they do it. 15 bars, 15 tequila cocktails. That's insane.
That's a lot. Yeah.
The focus becomes more on finding a balance, I think. And it's, if I can find 2 times to get a quick piece of exercise in or get outside during a 4-day trip,
you're gonna do
then I think that's a success.
The other piece too, so I think that's good that, balancing that health, because it feels like you're doing a pretty good job of maintaining that balance.
So far, I think.
At 31, most people fall apart at 31, so you're doing a good job. At least aesthetically, might I compliment
thank you.
Right?
So kind. Face for radio, right?
That's right.
Now, I've had some friends that are even younger than me have some health scares. Like I recently had a friend go to the hospital because of a health scare, just because of this lifestyle. A brand ambassador friend.
Yeah.
A couple years younger than me.
That's crazy. Do you think that you can set a pretty good example for those guys, being a little bit older, a little bit more tenured in this industry?
I don't know. A lot of my friends in this business have been doing it longer than me, and they're the people I go to for, on career advice. I've never considered myself like a role model in that way, but I think it is good to be kind of like, I'm motivated a lot by somebody I work with who is like the master of balance on the road. Yeah. And she is so good at it and so motivating to like keep that lifestyle. Like that she kind of motivates me. And if I in turn can like be vocal about what I'm doing so that other people kind of maybe will follow.
Yeah, then, paying it forward.
But I've never really purposely like tried to set an example.
Yeah.
I'm just like trying to keep up with the people I respect, and then maybe someone will try to keep up with me, and then
it's a tiered system in a sense, right? Like the older people, they've been out there doing it longer. They saw this pre-renaissance of cocktail culture, and they have some learnings from the 90s maybe, right? Or the early 2000s. So it's good. I think that you have the ability to pay it forward like that. I also feel like, because again, we mentioned this before we're starting rolling, but I can usually find a good amount of information about people, right? And not in a bad way, but just to kind of foster some conversation, talk about some other things outside of the industry. But it feels like your online presence, which I'm sure is a big piece of why someone would put you in a brand ambassador role, actually, how you represent yourself online. It feels relatively brand focused. Do you intentionally have a line in the sand between what you're willing to share with the public and what you do in fact share?
Absolutely. So I think my brand would probably like it if I was a little more present online, you know, just like, or like maybe a little more, you know, if I posted more often or, you know, but I've always said this, like, even like before I was doing this job, is like, never be polarizing on the internet, right? Like, I don't know, especially in our industry where like no one ever really goes away. Like, in any other industry, you switch companies, you do whatever, you never see the people you used to work with again. Like in our industry, you're going to see everyone over and over and over again. So like, try not to offend, try not to be polarizing. If you know me, you know I have incredibly strong opinions, and I'm very polarized on issues, but I just don't publicly post
when the camera's not rolling,
and it's not an accident. I never do that. And I probably never will. Even one day, if I don't work for a brand anymore, I don't see the need to really be polarizing online or, you know, religion, politics, things I have incredibly strong feelings about. I don't feel really the need to talk about that. So
I'm glad that it's intentional. I'm glad you're kind of conscientious about that. You know,
I try to preach the gospel of that to others.
Which is funny, like, right? The gospel of, like, in a sense, being reticent to share too much. Do you think then people definitely get a chance to understand you and know the real man that you are on the road and then at these kind of events that you throw?
I think so. I don't really, there's not a big difference between like my work mode and my not work mode. Like I am the same person all the time. I try to be, or at least I don't consciously try to be a different person when I'm like working. I think that's kind of part of like, if you really want to be representative of a brand and be part of an industry, you need to be yourself all the time. Like, and I think brands should look to hire someone who is the right person when they're being themselves, as opposed to like putting on a front. And I think most people I know in the industry would agree that like, I don't really have to turn anything on or off. Like that is my personality. I'm kind of like always working. I do love the brands I represent. I would never take a brand job if I didn't. I was super hesitant to take this job because I'd never worked for a brand before. A few years ago when I took this. So I don't have to fake it.
So it's you through and through.
Yeah.
I like that. That's good. I mean, and I think you're right. I think that's the smart hire. Someone that's going to be genuine, you know, through and through globally, right? Because you're traveling so many different places and talking and engaging with so many people, you know. But this whole story starts in Georgia.
Yep.
Atlanta proper, is that where you grew up?
Grew up 15 miles north of the city, in a town that is now called Johns Creek. It wasn't called that when I grew up there. But
what was it called when you grew up?
It was unincorporated Fulton County, and it was
kind of got a nice ring to it.
It's kind of between like Alfred and Duluth areas. I mean, suburban, you know. Like didn't grow up like in a super rich family, very like middle class, but grew up in a very wealthy area. It's all country clubs and rich kids and.
Been there, it's an interesting dichotomy sometimes.
It is interesting, and it's way different now. I think better. It's got a little more culture now. And it's a lovely place to grow up, and I see why my folks moved there to raise their kids. It's good schools.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What kinds of things? What industries were your folks in?
My father's a chiropractor.
And
my mom runs his office.
No kidding.
And
did they meet at the office or before the office?
Before that, they met when my dad was in chiropractic school. And they've been married for like 36 years.
That's amazing.
And they work together every day, and they still like each other. It's really weird. It's a pretty rare thing. Like,
I'm perplexed right now. Wait, they still like each other?
Yeah, they still like are gross. You know, like still like PDA.
That's how you have the best chance now. You have such a great template at home. You can go out and find love whenever you want it.
I'm home like 5 days a month, so the odds of a relationship while doing this job are slim to none.
That's a good point.
But that's okay. I'm not in a hurry. I enjoy what I do. So
it seems fulfilling on a social level, at least, you know, and educational one as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Like I get to I get to travel around and like do trainings, you know, and I get to just go to meet people at bars. It's really, really fun. I love this industry. Like it's not something I've been shoehorned into. It's something that I tried for years and years to get out of, and I tried a million other things. And then at a certain point, about I'd say 5 years ago, I was just like, I love this. Why am I trying to do other things? I've been doing this since I was 14 years old. Like,
can't fight this feeling anymore.
Yeah,
right?
so you just embrace it. Once you embrace this industry, you realize that it's incredible. Like, it attracts, well, not all awesome people, but some of the greatest people I've met are because of this industry.
And they all are like recovering musicians or recovering actors. People I would hang out with anyway.
In LA, they are. Anyway, in LA, everyone's an actor or musician.
But then everybody's a transplant, so you get people coming into Austin, same thing. You know, bartenders and everything. Before this hospitality kind of passion emerged, I guess you could say, you were on the straight and narrow. You were going to Georgia State, like you were going to do a real career. Not that this isn't, but like, you know, textbook career.
Kind of. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I had like I said, I have great parents, and like they were almost too supportive because they were like, yeah, like do whatever you want. You know, it's like middle child syndrome. I just like got away with anything, but also like, you know, I went to school right outside of, or went to college right after high school for free, and they're like,
for free?
Georgia has this amazing thing called the Hope Scholarship that if you carry a B average, you can go to college for free at any state school.
Shit.
It's amazing. It's funded by
that
the
is
lottery.
Amazing.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm surprised more states don't do it. But so I went, he was like, my dad's like, I'll pay for you to go whatever school you want if you're like really hyped about learning somewhere. And I was like, I don't really know. I'll just go to school for free. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And I went to school for, you know, business because I didn't know what to study. And then I dropped out and started a textbook rental company.
Textbook rental. Okay.
Before that was a thing.
Oh, that's right, because now there's rental prices or
now you can rent
prices.
them. So we started a textbook rental company just at like one state school in Atlanta, and then I did that for about a year and hated it. And I was 21 years old and was like miserable. So we stopped doing that, and then I went back to school for fine art.
Whoa!
And I
specialty in what?
Drawing, painting, like studio art. And then I did that for like a year and a half, and then I had started like writing automotive journalism, like writing copy just for fun, like
for automotive journalism.
Yeah, just like covering auto shows and doing like car reviews and stuff like that. And got an offer to move to LA. So I dropped out of school again. I never did finish. I don't know if Campari knows that actually. Hopefully they don't listen to this, but
no one listens to this. Don't worry.
Yeah, so dropped out of school again, and then about a year later moved to LA, and I was writing automotive copy, and then like you can be the best automotive writer in the world and make like no money, and like you have to really, really love it. And I was just like kind of doing it because I liked writing a little bit, and I liked cars, but it definitely wasn't the thing for me. And I was bartending anyway, so just kind of dropped that.
Well, so let's talk about aesthetic for just a moment, because cars for me have this kind of cultural relevance as a means of aesthetic. It doesn't matter how fast they are. Often the beautiful cars are fast, but for you, when you think about cars, that was the only thing I was drawn when I was a kid.
Yeah.
You know, do you find that that's like a source of inspiration? Because I think I've read about you being interested in bar design, for example, which is aesthetic to some degree. Do cars in general, is that something you look at and you're like, I really do appreciate the aesthetic that goes into a 64 Mustang? Or
yeah, so I mean, I just grew up as like a car guy, and I've always been like a sucker for design, right? I still love cars. I mean, I don't follow the industry like I used to, but like I grew up, you know, everything was, I was building models. I was building model cars. Like that's all I used to do. And I don't know, maybe that kind of led to why. I mean, like, so before I was with Campari, I had kind of like really lightened up my bartending schedule, and I was just consulting and like designing bars. So by far my favorite part of that industry is the design part.
Yeah.
The equipment layout, when you get to start picking placement of equipment, color of wallpaper, you know, you get to start picking what your bar top's made of, what your glassware looks like. Like that is definitely my favorite. It's
very
part.
appealing, right?
So I don't know. Maybe that was the appeal for cars.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like I find maybe I'm just interviewing people so that things are activated in me, right? Maybe it's a very selfish endeavor. I don't really know at the end of the day. But I think about that too. I was making models. I was painting vintage Corvettes that were like the little cast iron or whatever they were.
Yeah.
And then I think about cars being the prototype for great design and great aesthetic. And then you then have this passion for bars, which probably is like, are you an angular guy or a curved guy? Like if you think about a aesthetic for a customer walking into a bar, do you want something that's kind of smooth and curvy, or something a little bit more angular and masculine?
Well, like the way my brain works is a curved bar is like almost impossible to make efficient as far as the equipment that's behind it. And I'm just like, I don't know. I think my brain skis like way more analytical. So I want 90-degree angles because equipment is 90-degree angles. It
makes sense,
fits back there better. You know, I like sitting on the other side of a curved bar. I love like the whole concept behind employees only's kidney shaped bar.
Yeah.
Like, they always do the same shape so that you're always making eye contact with someone at the bar and keep it social, you know? So I get both sides, but I just like, that's how I think is like, I'm always kind of like analyzing for efficiency's sake. And,
which is interesting because writers don't do that, but
I guess not.
Engineers do that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the writing I was doing was like comparing one car to another. So some of that's pretty analytical.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It definitely, the copy I was writing for automotive stuff was less on the creative writing side, more on the, I mean, you had to be creative to make it interesting to read.
Yeah.
But it was pretty analytical.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So as you kind of stumbled, I'm saying that in the most positive of ways, but stumbled into bartending, were you always kind of a people person, someone that liked being amidst the public and chatting and getting to know people?
Not really. I think, I started in the industry really young, so I kind of got forced into it. Like in school, I was kind of a small group of friends. I wasn't like the most social person. Honestly, it was kind of a pothead, so like it's kind of like stuck with my friends in high school. But I mean, I think I started working in, I got my first job when I was 14 years old at a Planet Smoothie. And so like that's instantly like customer service. Like those idiots left a 16-year-old in their Planet Smoothie by himself. Like all I did all day was like trade smoothies to the pizza place next door for free food and like drink smoothies all day. But like it's kind of like forced interaction with customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
You learn customer service at a very young age. And then my first restaurant job was like right after my 15th birthday. And I like went back of house. And so washing dishes, prep, cook stuff.
Yeah.
So that wasn't very social, but like very quickly went back to the front of the house, running food, serving tables, and then eventually bartending around 19 when I started bartending.
That's incredible. What ultimately did you find was the allure to the hospitality industry for you?
Well, I wanted a car when I was about to turn 14. Like much to my chagrin, my dad was like, "If you want a car, you need to buy a car." So get a job. And so I got paid $6 an hour to make smoothies. And then like it was just the easiest way to make money in high school, you know? So like I wanted to buy a car at 16. I got a job. I worked at the same restaurant for 9 years in Atlanta.
That's great. From
16 to 25.
That's amazing.
All through high school, all through college, right before I moved. My last day in Atlanta was my last day at that job, and then I drove to California the next day.
Wow.
But like, as a 16-year-old food runner making $250 for running food on a Saturday night, like I was balling in high school, It was like you got no bills, like you're just like collecting money. So like that, it was like it all started because it was easy money.
Yeah. It
was like, and it was fun. Like for a 16-year-old working in a restaurant and a bar is fun. Like you're the youngest person there. All your friends are 10 years older than you. It's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Maybe not the most like wholesome environment.
Wholesome might not be the right word. No. Yeah, you're right. But enlivening.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And it teaches valuable life skills.
I think so too. Yeah, being taken advantage of, getting drunk too much. I mean, those are things I'm still learning about.
Yeah.
In my 30s.
It's an everyday battle.
Every day.
For all of us.
Uphill struggle. How was the kind of the social scene in LA versus what you'd kind of come accustomed to outside of Atlanta?
I mean, it takes a minute to get used to LA, and I think everyone kind of has preconceived notions about it, about LA, like I did before I went. And
what did you think before you went?
I mean, it's what you see, right? You see like Hollywood.
Yeah.
Right? You see like
plastic.
Yeah, this very plastic, very sort of narcissistic and fake, and that's real. That's there, but that's not LA. Like that's a very small part of the population and a very small part of the culture of LA when you actually get there. And it takes some time. I mean, I got lucky and I got a good job pretty early bartending out there. It took me about a month to find a good gig. It was like crazy how I got this job, but a lot of people, it takes a year to kind of like break through the bullshit, like this Hollywood facade. And then you discover like the real people of LA, and it's awesome. Like especially, real Angelinos, which are like unicorns, because you never meet them around where I live. Like people that are from there.
Yeah.
Like they're amazing. Like I love the culture of Los Angeles.
What would you say defines that culture? Once you get past the stratosphere or that veneer of superficiality.
I think like the biggest surprise for me was like it's coming from Atlanta was like just an air of like potential success there where when I would tell someone in Atlanta like what I was going to do or like a goal that I had as far as a career, whatever it is, financial goals, anything, they'd be like, yeah, right. Like, sure.
Really?
Everyone. And then you go to LA and you're like, this is what I want to do. And they're like, oh, no shit. Like, my cousin did that. You know, like, oh, I have a friend who's in that. Like, I'll connect you. And like, sometimes that's bullshit, but there's just like this, there's just like an essence of like success. Yeah. Like, it is a place where you can go younger and like have a passion for something and actually do it. I'm sure it's a lot harder for like 99.9% of people who go to LA to pursue acting or music,
right?
Because that's like the big thing.
Sure.
But if you're going there with something else in mind, like it's just a place that breeds success. It's a city of many industries, and you can go there and be successful if you bust your ass. And Atlanta and I love Atlanta, and I don't want to offend anyone back home, but it just didn't have that feeling.
Well, the money's not there.
Money's not
LA's got a massive economy, much larger than Atlanta does. Even though there's there's big corporations and things, but I mean it's just talk about it. It's the dollars, man. There's so much more potential.
But it's also I mean, and industries focus all their money on those. So my job does not exist if I don't leave Atlanta.
Yeah,
no one's hiring brand ambassadors on a national level from Atlanta.
That's right. Yeah,
not yet. Maybe they'll get there,
someday.
But like, none of that would have ever happened if I just stayed and was tending bar in Atlanta.
Yeah. Sometimes you got to move to evolve, you know. It happens like that quite a bit. So you worked at Soho House West, I think, right?
Yeah.
In
West Hollywood,
thank you. And you've got like this kind of decorated resume. I mean, putting 9 years in at an establishment in Atlanta, I think that sets a really great foundation to be stable in any other job you're doing in LA. I think that's maybe why you got the gig. You call it maybe a choice serendipitous moment, but that's still a great foundation.
I mean, I think it's a good resume. I mean, no one in LA knows what the fuck Stony River Steakhouse in Atlanta is,
Fair enough,
but the way I got the job was crazy. I'd been out there. I moved to Redondo Beach not knowing how far from LA that really was. I had no fucking clue. It was like going to be an hour and a half commute into town. But I'd been like, I moved out there on New Year's Eve. And so I'm like in January going around this like beach town of Redondo on Hermosa Beach, handing out my resume, and everyone's like, yeah, dude, great resume, come back when we're hiring in the summer. Like the concept of seasonal employment like wasn't a thing in my brain.
Yeah.
And so I just remembered that before I left, a friend of mine was like, I have a friend in LA, if you can't find a job, let me know, I'll pass your resume. So I had like spun my wheels completely. I emailed my friend Mark. I was like, I need something. And he sent my resume off. And it was one of my best friends in LA now, a guy named Billy.
That's amazing.
Got an interview. They hired me on the spot, just basically based on this guy in Atlanta's recommendation. It was like
you never know the guy
crazy
that
tiny thread.
But it is so strange like that because you could piss off somebody that you didn't even mean to, and it can not ruin your career, but it can kind of stunt.
Well, we were talking about that earlier today with this industry. Like those people, you're always going to see the same people.
Sure.
So don't piss anyone off. It goes back to like, don't be polarizing. Don't be an asshole because someone's going to move to another job that affects your future. Or you're going to move to another job that affects your future in this industry because it's a tiny industry.
It is.
We were out last night at Laundrette having dinner, and one of my old barbacks from LA was bartending.
What?
Yeah, crazy. Had no idea.
At Laundrette, really?
Haven't seen him in years. Took us forever to figure out how we knew each other, and then that was it.
There you go.
It's a really small industry, and this was last night.
In Austin at Laundrette, no less.
Yeah.
Not like a cocktail place. Just like a kind of a hipstery restaurant. It's a nice place, of course.
It's great.
But, I mean, the world is just so epically small.
And, like, if I had been a dick to that guy when he was a barback for me, like, well, I probably wouldn't have had as bad of a hangover this morning.
That's true.
We wouldn't have been forcing shots down our throats. But.
So maybe it was better that way. Hang on. Now history is all mangled for me. I don't know what you should have done.
Maybe I should have been really, really rude.
Maybe. It just doesn't seem like the right thing to do, does it? So, at some point, this hospitality experience evolves into a passion for mezcal, the Tahona Society. It evolves into being the bartender of the year in like 2015, something like this. So all these great accolades. Now they may be.
I would love if bartender of the year was an accolade. Is that a thing? I don't know. I would love that accolade. But
you're a bartender of this room right now.
There we
you
go.
win that.
I'll take that.
And I mean, Carly, I guess she's number 2 and I'm 3.
No offense, Carly.
No offense, Carly. But at what point did the construction of drinks, of booze, something, when you're a kid, it's booze, right? You just get it and you get fucked up. When did it get elevated to maybe more of an art form for you?
Well, I remember the first like real cocktail I had. It was in Atlanta, and I was bartending. I was 21, and I was bartending at the steakhouse. Yeah. And I was living down in Atlanta, and there's this place, and it's still there. It's called the Sound Table. Great bar, but it was like one of the first cocktail bars in Atlanta. And I went, and I had like some variation on a blood and sand, which I fucking hate. I hate those cocktails. Like any cocktail with orange juice in it, just
it's a little hard.
It's kind of wasted on me.
Yeah.
But I had some variation on a blood and sand, and like I just remember the dude was from New York, and I don't even remember his name. The guy who came down and opened the bar, and like I picked his brain for like 2 hours. I was like, "What's that ingredient? What is that? What is that? What is that?" And I was just like, this whole kind of world was opened up to me, and I tried to like bring some of that to the steakhouse. Like I at least brought in like Negronis.
Yeah,
we were making Negronis at the steakhouse, and then when I moved to LA, I was applying as a bartender. I got hired as a server at first at Soho House, but like very quickly made my way to the bar, and they had a really airtight cocktail program, and kind of I got like my first mentor there.
Who was your first mentor?
Chris Ojeda.
I've heard of Chris. Maybe from Kiowa?
He's from, yeah.
I think that's
so. Kiowa was also a Soho House person, very good friend. So Chris was of like the Sasha Petrosky school, opened up the Varnish and all those places. So that was like my first guy, who taught me cocktails. But like, just he was very passionate about it, and you kind of when you start learning it, like it breeds creativity, So that's kind of what led to caring
it activated
about drinks.
And maybe like said, I want to be cerebral about this.
Yeah.
It takes somebody, right? There's some strong personality to lead us into that direction.
I think so. And like you have to have mentors. And like that's one of the other things I love about LA is that attitude of sharing information and teaching people.
So it is that sharing.
Oh man, our industry in LA is one of the best I've seen as far as like nothing's proprietary.
No kidding.
I've worked in some other cities that maybe were kept things a little closer to the chest and a little more secretive and more competitive. But LA is like, You call someone for anything, and they're going to share it with you because it was shared with them. Like almost nothing's original, Like someone calls me for something that I have some expertise on, it's free and they can have it.
I love that. I didn't realize.
That's kind of just how LA is.
That was kind of the piece of that.
Yeah, it's great.
So if you were to classify the bartending chapter, because you've now shifted to brand work, what did you feel like you got everything you needed out of that experience for now? Or you needed to do something else?
Like, do I miss it, or what
do you miss it? Do you feel fulfilled?
I miss bartending. I love hospitality, so I enjoy making people drinks. But like, and I do miss that. I don't miss how my body feels at the end of an 8-hour bartending shift, or like bar rot on your fingers and your back and your feet hurting. So like, I would still love to do it, every now and I still do get to jump behind a bar and do guest bartending. Sure. I still get to be creative and make cocktails, which is cool. So like, I still get that outlet a little bit. But like the fact that nowadays bartending can lead to a job like this is crazy to me. And I still like a few years in, I'm like, how is this? And like maybe mostly because my mom was like, how is that a real job? Like, what are you doing? But it's crazy to me.
Can't really classify it.
Yeah. Mom's like, oh, you're calling me. You must be at an airport. I'm like, yeah, I'm calling you at an airport. But it's just like, it's amazing that bartending can lead to a career like this, and to a job like this.
Do you think we could get so with the digital era, I suppose you could say, we can get anything we want when we want it, ultimately, besides a bottle of mezcal like this, which is great to share with you. Right? But do you think that kind of impetuousness and compulsiveness is a better word for it, maybe drives bartenders to strive to be famous and a brand ambassador far too soon before they've actually got the foundations in place?
Absolutely. The whole the star tender thing. Listen, I will never hate on someone for wanting to build their own brand and pursue their own career and make a name for themselves. I think that's amazing. I think I don't think it's the fault of the bartender who wants to move up. I think oftentimes brands are a little too eager with people who maybe haven't been tenured enough in the industry, and maybe some companies don't do enough research on like who they're looking into to represent their brand, or I think some cities don't have enough good bartenders to support all of them getting brand jobs.
It's crazy.
Like, good bartenders hard to find, and you start giving them all brand jobs, then are there any good bartenders left? And
right, because then they're gonna be like, well, that's really what I want. I want what I saw on TV. And I saw in the magazine spread, I just want to be the star. I want to be the center of attention.
And I get it.
I do too.
I get it. But like, I just hope, I hope the good bartenders are passing along enough information to the younger people before they go on and take those jobs.
That's the wisest advice, or the sagest advice, because I suspect that it's not happening. The transfer of knowledge, people are transitioning.
That like mentorship process, like I was lucky enough to get, is probably not as common anymore.
What can you do to kind of make sure that people at least are cognizant of the fact that might be lacking in this industry, mentorship?
Well, I'm probably the worst example because.
Okay.
Well, no, I mean, I just, I worked at bars with like really tenured and amazing bartenders. Like I never really had anyone I was mentoring. That's okay. I mean, I'm still in the business, and like I think you can mentor people from all roles, not necessarily bartending, but I like that. In a lot of markets, there is like this like trickle down school, and I forget who it was. Someone recently was putting together a bartender like family tree. Like, who did you learn from? Where did it go? And I think that's amazing that people are like keeping track of like where
schools
this
of thought, man.
Where this information came from, right? Like, these like different styles in these different schools. But I mean, I think it's smart. Like, take the time to train your barbacks if they're interested in learning how to bartend.
Let them reach their potential.
Yeah, and don't. I think. And I think it's getting better, but historically, not a lot of bars have given inexperienced people a shot.
Yeah.
And they've always wanted people who already had a name and who've already had a ton of experience. And I think, if I owned a bar, I would rather hire someone totally green.
Absolutely.
And who just had a passion for hospitality and train them in my school of thought.
Yeah.
So they learned how to make shit the way I wanted them to make it.
Totally.
So,
I mean, talent.
Because if they're going to be in your bar, and I think more people should do that.
Yeah.
And give. Because we need, if our whole generation is getting brand jobs, like who's going to be the next generation of great bartenders? And you have to let new people in.
Dude, someone's got to pick the apples.
And certain cities are worse about it than others.
Right.
Not to name names.
No, sure, of course. But I mean, it's like that. And I just think it's something worth discussing, that it could be this looming crisis in a sense, right?
Yeah.
We're already, and I'm sure that LA has experienced that, or maybe not, but I know Houston, Austin, it has more jobs available than there are qualified people to fill them. And that's a crisis.
LA's got its own crises. I think our crisis, we have a hospitality crisis as well. I don't know if it's necessarily that. I think that's kind of a good problem to have. Sure. Great jobs available, you know? Ours is no one can afford good help anymore because rent is so high, and because we're moving to, not to get too political about it, but we're moving to a $15 minimum wage. And we're not a tip credit state. So even if you're a tipped employee, you're getting $15 minimum wage an hour, which is bananas. Yeah. So no restaurants can afford to offer great hospitality. I mean, at a base level, we're just talking about fewer cooks in the kitchen. We're talking about fewer servers on the floor. So a lot more guests per server if you can even afford to have servers anymore. Everywhere is going to order at the bar, take a number. Wow. Like there's a giant bubble about to burst for hospitality in LA, and it sucks.
It's an interesting and different problem than we experience here.
So it's a little bit different, I think, than what's going on here right now. It's just because I think the industry is a few years ahead there in LA. But
absolutely.
It's interesting that the people making these laws don't understand the effect, and the effect won't happen for another couple years, and then they won't know why it happened because they won't remember when they passed this law 3 years ago that really fucked everything.
Texas is the same way, except we have other things. If I were to do something at work and really fight for it to get approved or get passed and get buy-in from all of my peers, there would be one question that they would always ask me, my peers, in a real legitimate business, which government isn't. Yeah, sure. But they would say, well, what's the business justification? You know what? There's not a goddamn thing that went through the Senate this year, like in Texas, that's really like a business forward. It's all just, I feel this way.
Yeah.
You're a dick, so I want to make sure you can't get into public school. It's just, that's where we're at. Platitudinal kind of thinking. And believe me, I'm not trying to embroil you in a political
No, it's
discussion,
interesting.
But it is. I mean, it's just, we don't really think about the consequences there. Yeah. Because we're just feeling it.
Absolutely.
The business acumen is not necessarily there. And I didn't realize that was the same kind of thing that's happening.
It's the same. Yeah, I mean, it's the people, obviously the people controlling these things and making these laws and putting this legislation into place. They have no idea. They've never worked in the industry. They don't own a business.
God, no kidding.
They've never owned a business. That's why they work in politics. You know.
What else am I gonna do?
Yeah, they know nothing about business, so they don't understand the repercussions. And like, I desperately want LA to be a great restaurant city because I think it's gotten a bad rap forever. People don't like consider it on the level of like New York, San Francisco, Chicago as far as restaurants go, and I totally understand why. Yeah. But we have this incredible restaurant culture that's just very different. It's seemingly doomed. And I'm usually not that cynical.
No, I know, but that's not cynical. It is
like a very serious thing for people who, you know, it's already one of the hardest cities to have a bartender-owned bar. That's like, I blindly support any bartender-owned bar because it's something I really, really believe in. We have like 3. Yeah. I go to any other city and there's so many. It's just our industry it's about to be in a crisis. I don't think people know it's in yet.
I don't think so either. ...
Yeah.
So we'll see how things unfold there. So you're here though because we have an amazing week ahead of us. A week dedicated to charity, a week dedicated to giving, and the blessed Negroni.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about first how you got introduced to the Campari group. How did you kind of transition into that role? Were they like persuading you? Were they dating you a little bit?
A little bit. So into my current role, yes, there was a lot of persuading that happened, and it was quite the stroke to the ego. It was wonderful. But first off, my name was thrown in a hat by a friend of mine. Someone from Campari came to him and said, "We need someone good in LA to do this job," and they called me, and I was very hesitant to go to the brand side. I wasn't looking for a brand job, and then when they were like, "Well, this is your portfolio," and I was like, "Oh shit,
I've heard of that."
Yeah, no, it was like, these are my favorite things. Yeah. Like, I love Amaro. You know, it's like the only thing I ever would have considered was in agave or in Amaro. I wouldn't take a ambassador job for anything else. And so when they presented this portfolio, I was like, holy shit, like this is extensive. Like this is a great portfolio of products. Like, I believe in everything in it. So I took the interview and I got to like meet the people, and it was like, great, let's do this.
What in the portfolio, many things that we've heard of, but there's this term from the 80s about movies that weren't really popular, but they're still really good, like Soderbergh, fit in perfectly, right? What's the sleeper in your category, in your book? What's someone that you love, but people don't really give a lot of love to?
Well, in our industry, I think people give it love, but not a lot of people have been able to taste it yet. But like Braulio is my baby. Like that is a huge reason I took this job. It was already my favorite Amaro. I think it's an incredible product, and not to just like be on a sales pitch on your show, but as far as like the consumer, this is a very obscure product. I think in our industry, bartenders, it has a lot of cachet, and people have probably tasted it. But that's the one that's like, when I go around to bars, I walk around with my computer bag, like I look business professional, but the only thing in there is a bottle of Braulio. And I just taste people that have never had it before on it. I'm just like, do you want to taste this? Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and that's kind of like my pet project.
It's like your Velvet Underground.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like it's cultish and people know it, but it never ever will probably reach mainstream status.
I don't think it can. I don't think they'll ever be at the production that it can be like a super mainstream product. Yeah. I hope they never are.
Yeah.
I think in order for a brand like that to really go mass production, they'd have to cut some corners, and I don't ever want to see that happen.
I like that. Yeah. I mean, staying true, keeping the sound real.
Keep it pure.
Keep it pure.
You know, when we talk about Amaro, like these are things that it's a pretty sustainable thing. Sure. You know, it's not a resource that's like dying. We're talking about like something that's really recreatable, and then most of the ingredients are, you know, annuals and things that grow every year. And you can do, you know, it's not like agave that like
once you kill our Araqueño, it's dead. Kind of thing.
Well, like people like you and I hoard it because we know it's not going to be around forever. Like within our lifetimes, these incredible agave products are gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just hope, like, I hope Braulio stays as pure as it is, because I love that product.
I love it, man. Yeah. When I think about it, and I always use music as an analogy because it's the thing that's most familiar to me, but I think of, like, The Replacements. I think of Velvet Underground, like these things that are really, really edgy. Yeah. But they'll never
be huge and mainstream.
But that's okay. And that's a good thing. So this week, the Negroni Week starts. Is it next week?
Negroni Week starts Monday.
And there's a crawl. We've got a lot of great things planned here in Austin. But so are you in town?
That's your girl Carly setting up these amazing Austin activities.
Dude, there's an amazing Negroni crawl on Lamar.
Yeah.
That wouldn't have been possible 3 years ago because that place didn't talk about industry and how things have just emerged and grown so much. You couldn't do that shit 3 years ago. Yeah. Austin's grown that much.
That neighborhood is amazing.
Oh, it's killer. It's killer. So you're in town to shoot T-shirts out of a cannon, which I think is part of the resume, having experience with that kind of thing.
That T-shirt cannon it's so much more than a T-shirt cannon because it is like, this is like the personification of all my like wildest brand ambassador dreams come true, is like finally getting this thing I've been asking for 2 years, like asking for it so many times that it just turned into a joke.
That's amazing.
Like, I'd be walking out of a meeting and be like, okay, like just let me know when the T-shirt cannon's coming. So, count on Texas to like take me seriously, which is amazing.
We're bigger and better, right?
Because LA was not having it.
No kidding.
And the first time I brought it up to the Texas team, they were like, oh yeah, we can make that happen. I just thought it was, whatever.
I'll just pull one out of the garage. I've got plenty of these.
And then it happened. And yesterday was a big day. Yesterday was a career milestone for me.
How did it
My
feel?
first T-shirt cannon.
How did it feel to launch that first
Felt
T-shirt?
so very good.
Is there some kick on this thing?
It's got a lot of recoil.
Does it really?
Like 300 psi. This thing shoots a T-shirt
that's
out.
That's a bit.
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun with the T-shirt cannon yesterday.
That's amazing.
Probably shot about 100 T-shirts out yesterday.
And it was you guys over Half Step, right?
We started at Half Step. They were so gracious to allow us to use their yard as kind of our testing facility.
That's right. Yeah.
It was a little bit of a new process to all of us. So, no animals were harmed, no eyes were poked out. Fortunately, everything
went. Their shirts,
everything
right?
went as planned. Yeah, like how bad could it hurt?
Yeah.
But no, so we tested that, and then we were just kind of like all over last night. We did some Hotel Van Zandt, like from the alley up into the pool.
That's
shots,
amazing.
which was really fun. So, yeah, big day yesterday.
It seemed like the space race had ended.
Yeah,
You finally
we
got
won.
it into orbit. You
Yeah.
won. The kids are all going.
But now I got to think about the next thing I'm going to ask for. What's going to take me the next 2 years to get? I think bigger.
Yeah, well, bigger. Just be careful.
Yeah.
Always be careful. So, for you, let's talk about Negroni Week here for a second, which is a week dedicated to Negronis, but for charity itself. What kinds of do you see pretty good participation across the nation in this event?
So it grows every year, which is amazing. And this year, so much more streamlined and organized. And the number I heard, and Carly might know better, is that 6,800 accounts around the world had signed up already.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
Every one of those accounts this year has donated at least $25 minimum. So that's already a ton of money. We haven't even started Negroni Week yet. Negroni Week starts on Monday. So that's like a massive, massive participation. It's a ton of money. Campari's donating a ton of money. They're donating $75,000 this year. So like it's going to raise drastically more money than it ever has in the past, which is great. And it's raised a lot of money in the past.
Yeah.
I think it's a super cool event. People really get behind it.
Yeah.
It's like our Super Bowl, at least mine. This is my third Negroni Week with the company. So it's like the 2 months before are just like pounding pavement, like setting up everything. But people get crazy creative, really cool events, really cool activations, and it's for a really great cause. And you get to pick your cause, which is cool.
Yeah, I
You
think
can be
that's the
something
best
you're
part,
passionate
right?
about,
Because
yeah.
you're not prescribing any line of school of thought, right?
Yeah.
It can be diabetes research, it can be cancer, it can be a homeless, all these things. And I think that's lacking.
It can be global, it can be national, it can be hyper local.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that that just general sense of philanthropy, I think that this happens and is occurring at a really good time, or maybe people are a little disheartened and feel like they're not getting taken care of, So do you find that, generally speaking, people are very excited and they really want to give back to the community these days?
I think so. I think in general, our industry is more focused on giving back than it ever has been.
Yeah.
I mean, with things like Speed Rack getting such international attention and being for such a good cause. I mean, that's really like, they were really one of the first. This is the 5th Negroni Week and the 5th season of Speed Rack as well. So I guess we kind of started around the same time.
Oh, that's an interesting correlation.
But,
I didn't realize that.
And now we're actually we work pretty closely with them. But yeah, I think there's a lot of focus on giving back now. I mean, people do things for charity year round. Like this is a big one. There's a lot of attention, a lot of PR around this one, but our industry is really starting to care.
It's kind of a nice shift.
Well,
I think they've always cared.
We're serving booze. We should be doing something to give back too. I think,
trying to finally cure cancer.
Yeah,
we don't cure cancer. But we could potentially with these donations, right?
Yeah, I mean, Negroni Week's going to raise a whole lot of money this year.
That's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
So I've got just a few questions left for you before you are off into the night and off into kind of hang out.
We got one more night to sign up for Negroni Week, so Carly and I are going to be pounding pavement.
Do it. Get those clipboards out there, man.
Yeah, exactly. You're like Greenpeace.
That's right. Bring it back.
Standing outside of HEB
That's a great point. There's
up.
an HEB right across the street. Lots of foot traffic. They look like drunks, most of them. So it might be perfect.
Yeah, I don't Negronis.
No promises. No promises. When I think about the kinds of things that you're interested in, it seems like this really great culmination of random things, man. Design, writing. Your folks are in chiropractic. It's really, really a cool amalgam that kind of brought you to this point that you're here now. So let's imagine that you're enjoying whatever spirit you want, whether it's mezcal, Campari, anywhere in the world, and you can sit at a bar and have a conversation with anybody, living or deceased. Who would you like to just sit there at the bar and have an in-depth conversation with?
I mean, I think, and I'm sorry, Campari, that it's not someone more Italian, but I think, don't you think, to be in Cuba drinking a Hemingway daiquiri with Hemingway would be? Does everyone give that same answer? I feel like everyone in the business would go do that.
Only a few people, but
okay,
that makes sense.
It's either Havana with Hemingway, or even Spain, Basque Country, doing the whole Sun Also Rises thing, drinking sherry with Hemingway. But I never really thought that I cared about Hemingway that much. But I do when it comes to someone who could really verbalize what the environment of having the right drink in the right place at the right time. I think he probably nailed it best.
Yeah.
And so I think that's probably would be.
I'm absolutely in agreement. I just don't want to fight him. He's probably pretty stocky.
Yeah, and he's a drunk, and he was rowdy. So yeah.
There's so much complexity to that man, and I think that in itself deserves a show and a conversation. Because was he fighting homosexuality for a long time, which might have caused this aggression? I mean, that's a theory. He's suicidal, but is it because of depression? Is it because of these other inner turmoil? So hell, you would have an amazing conversation with that man.
Yeah, maybe you have to break him up from getting in a bar fight.
That's right.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting no matter what. It's either going to be riveting conversation, or he's going to just give one-word answers and throw his drink at someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I heard. Yes. So the last question for you before again you head off into the night and set up shop at the HEB across the street, collecting names for Negroni Greek. So what's next for you? What's next on the leg here on this tour as the rock star that you are?
Career-wise? What's next, or life-wise?
Yeah, life-wise. I
don't know. I love what I do. I realize, and actually was having drinks with another brand ambassador friend who travels even more than I do, if you can believe that, and has a few years on me. And it's we were talking about, that life is maybe not something you can do forever and remain healthy.
Yeah,
at a certain point, it's going to catch up to you. I'm in 100 bars plus a month. And this is not complaining. I absolutely love what I do, but I do understand that maybe you don't travel forever like this. You do it for a few years, and I think it's good for brands to evolve with who their face is anyway at some point. So I'm probably not going to do this forever, but I love what I do. Operations is something I miss a little bit. I'll have a bar one day.
Yeah.
What
about a family? Are you interested in that piece?
Yeah. I don't need it.
Yeah.
But
some people need it.
I'm an open-minded person. I grew up in a place where I am the weird one for being 31 years old and being single and not having kids, right? I mean, that's the South, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure it's very similar in Texas.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I am super open-minded to the wife and kids thing, but I'm not someone. I don't think anything really works out the way it's supposed to if you force it.
Yeah.
And so, just kind of go with what happens. Maybe one day.
I like it.
I'm a good uncle, I think. Maybe I'd be an okay dad.
That's
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm pulling the collar right here.
Pretty different. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I get to leave when the kid starts to be a dick as an uncle,
Perfect escape plan. Exit strategy from the moment you walk in the door.
Here, take this back. Bye.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure getting to chat with you. I thank Carly so much for coordinating this and sipping some Del Maguey, Jarnac Rested San Luis Del Rio.
Oh, my God, yeah. Thank you for that. And thank you for having me.
A pleasure, man. So we'll keep in touch, Mike. It's been great getting to know you, and I love watching the jet setting activities on your Facebook feed. That. All right, dude. Take care.
Cheers.
Well, there we have it. Mr. Mike Capoferri of Campari America talking about Amari, talking about love, talking about health. Lots of great things, and it's nice to know that someone so level-headed is out of LA. The more people that I meet from LA, it gets this bad rap. I've been watching Californication lately, and you'd think that everybody's superficial or kind of really, really flighty and flaky, but you meet these people, especially from Campari, but Mike in general, just amazing guy, and I really appreciate Carly, again, setting this conversation up, and Mike coming by the place, sipping some mezcal with me, and talking about life. I think your greatest work is right before you, and I can't wait to see what you do next. So thanks everybody for listening to Show to V with Mike G. I know it's been a few weeks since I put a chat out. That will not be the case here for 2018. I'm going to take next week off. I hope you guys enjoy Christmas and holidays with your family. And then we have the San Antonio Cocktail Conference 2018 happening just that second week of January. But I'll see you guys there. I've been working on a new record. I've got so many things to share with you, so many conversations, so many new tunes, and so many great discussions about things we really need to be talking about, such as sexual harassment in the hospitality industry. All of this stuff and more to come in 2018. It's been a pleasure to get to share this stuff with you, and I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday with your family and a happy new year. So no matter how much champagne you drink, how much rum, how much nog, doesn't matter. Be with your families, and please keep dancing.